welcome to Days of Glory Shopworks. On this episode we're going to continue our cheap 440 build. So, if any of you have ever wondered, putting a rear main seal in a 440 or 400 big block Dodge or 383 or any of the big blocks, it's an easy procedure, but it's hard to get it right. They are prone to leakage, and it's not necessarily the seal, but how the seal is mounted in place. So here is the rear main seal cover, the half. Now, I put the lower half in when I put the crankshaft in, and this is the cover. It goes in right here between the wall, and you can see my seal sitting there fairly evenly. I honestly have never, and probably will never in all my professional career, staggered the joints. I don't do it. And knock on wood, haven't had an issue. So, what we're going to do here is, I got a little tiny bit of cleanup down here, just wipe it out. I have to put the upper half of the seal in, or lower half I guess you would say. And then if you have these, you can use them. They slide in these grooves. Normally what happens is you can get one in, but the other one's a complete pain in the butt. You try to feed the two of them down at the same time, it's horrible. What I'm going to do is leave the two of them out. I actually only have one anyway, the kit was incomplete. Oh, oops, gone. And we're going to use silicone. That's generally an accepted repair. So this is all cleaned up. I got to give this a final wipe out, and we're going to prep this up and get ready to go. So here goes. Alright, so we take our rear main seal, and if you look at it, it's got a wide section of the lip and a shallow section of the lip. The wide section has to go towards the front of the engine. If you don't, if you put it in backwards, it is going to leak. It's literally designed. There are marks. I don't know if they'll show up in the camera, but there's these diagonal lines, and they're designed to pull oil away from the seal. Without those, we're in bad shape. So you take your housing, you make sure you know what way it orientates forwards, take your seal, orientate it, put the two together, dry. Now, one thing I did run into, the billet covers you can get from aftermarket, sometimes this groove is too deep. I ran into that in the past on a friend's race engine, and we had nothing but a nightmare trying to get that to seal. Now this, if you just push gently on the seal, you can tell it's sticking out nicely, and we're happy. It protrudes here very well, so when we crush it in place, we should be in great shape. Next up, we just give that a nice little wipe out. That's all we got to do is just wipe the sides, into the corners, give a little run over the crankshaft. We're just making sure there's no dust or dirt that's going to get stuck between the pieces. So we're happy there. Next up, we take our RTV sealer. Now, when we start with this, I'm using Loctite copper RTB because it's what I have on hand. I take it, and you're not going to be able to see it, but I'm putting a little dab in the corners. Nothing too crazy. Ooh. Okay, and there's first problem. This RTV is not mixed up well in the tube. So we're going to wipe that junk out and make a bit of a mess before we can continue. Push it out, see it's coming out clear, and then, okay, there's our consistency. Good. Okay, we're happy. The things you don't see, hey? That you don't know about. Alright, we take our orange, we stick it in the corner, and make sure we just got her in there nice. Good. That'll squeeze out nicely, and it's not too much. Do it in the other corner. There are many ways. Many guys have their own little tricks and secrets to doing this. This is how I like to do it. Now I also take a little bit of the RTV and I run it up the sides here very wide. It's kind of extra, but I'll show you why in a minute here. Now I've seen these things completely rammed up with silicone so thick you'd swear they used just a full tube on this one little section. That's a bit over and above what's needed. Excessive, we'll say. Alright. Now we're actually just about ready to put the housing in. So we take our silicone and we fill it very generously in here because we have to make sure there's no air bubbles or anything like that. And we put a little dab on the tip of our sealing area right there. Nothing crazy, just a little dab. Run this stuff right up with a nice healthy bead. It's going to be messy, it is. The factory had a rope seal style that went up these tracks, and it was a rope seal for this main itself. Now, this is the inside area and this is the outside area. We shouldn't need any more silicone for the outside area, so it's not going to get it. We're just going to wipe this so lightly. Look at that. Just so lightly. Barely on there at all. Same thing on this side. Barely on there. You're painting it. Done. Painted. So next up, you can tell we've got it sticking out on both sides. I think I'll give a little more on this side. Kind of one of the things I don't like about the big blocks is these rear main seals. It's a good idea, but it's kind of messy. So there we go. We've seated it in place. You can see we've shaved some of the silicone off. That's okay. Because now we throw our bolts in and they go to 25 foot-pounds. Snug. Snug. Now, the seal itself will help them center, but you make sure you got kind of the same amount of gap on either side, which we do. And it's just by eyeball, nothing crazy. And we torque our seal down. Don't forget, the crank's already been lubed, so we're not going to be starting this guy dry. Torque it down to 25 foot-pounds. First we snug, and then we go straight down. Happy, happy. Now the fun part. So we're going to wipe this excess kind of into the crack, like so. Same thing over here. We're going to wipe it into the crack to create our own edge, as it were. Alright, excess can go away. Now, I like to put, you can't see it, but the silicone's sticking out on the bottom on both sides. I'm happy with that. With this area clean, if you take it, you can fill up this back groove up the edge with more silicone RTV sealant. And I need to rotate the engine around in a half a minute here, but we are going to add more. Same thing, wipe it up with our finger. Nice and smooth. Make sure there's no little gaps anywhere. Okay, now we're going to wind the crankshaft over. You see this cutout here? We want it down a little further, so I can get my finger in there to smooth out this silicone. Okay, that side's done. Now this side. There we go. It's not excessive. It's a nice simple bead. I mean, honestly, it looks like I'm just boat loading her in there, but not the case. Yeah, we make sure these tops are nice and even. Now all I have to do is wipe away the bit of excess around the crank itself, and we're just about done. Now, what I don't like to do, but I'm going to do it, is I'm just going to fill a little barrier right here to the top on either side. It may or may not help, but I just want like my own little false wall put up there, just to add a little barrier. We don't want to close in the bottom, which is at the top right now. We don't want to close in the bottom because that's how the oil has to drain back out. But we just run that up. It's nice, it's clean and tidy, it's not in the way of anything. Roll the crank over to gain access to the other side. And that's it in a nutshell. We're not filling the cavity, we're just creating a wall with the sealer. There we go. And that's it. We just run our finger up. Done. Nice continuous bead. Not overly exaggerated in any way. We've got room for the oil to drain back. We're happy. Alright guys, hope you liked that short video about putting a rear main seal in a 440. Now honestly, some of that applies to every rear main seal you can do. I just hope you guys got something out of it, and I have no reason to believe it's going to leak, so I'm going to say it's good to go. I'll find out after I get it running, I guess. Anyway, please like, subscribe, and share, and thanks for watching this video.